Welcome to Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the podcast audio companion to the book, Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the films of Shane Black by me, Jake Jobe. Available now for pre-order at weimprov.org. Just click on the merch tab or go to weimprov.org/store-1/Shane Black Book. This week, we've got a few episodes coming out, because I'm dropping them when I got them. It's messy. It's independent. We've got no advertisers except for me. We've got no producers except for me. We is I, and I am him. This week, I'm talking to Zach Jobe about Last Action Hero. It has become a movie in my mind. It is a movie that exists in the world about the movie world. And I think it's got some very, very interesting ideas, and it is done pretty, it's slop, but I love it. And the conversation with Zach was great. So you're going to hear a little bit of this introduction again as we get into it. So let's get into it. Thanks for listening. Welcome to Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the audio podcast companion to the book of the same name that I wrote. I'm Jake Jobe. I'm your host, and we're talking Shane Black movies with my friends. Today is no exception. Here in their apartment, I keep saying in studio, and then it's never in studio, is my friend and Los Angeles comedian Zach Jobe. Zach, hi.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. So this may surprise you, maybe it won't surprise you. You were the only person to reach out about Last Action Hero.
That does not surprise me. I think I'm the only person who liked this movie. Like, grew up really enjoying this movie.
I really like it. I found it a little dumb even as a kid when I saw it in the theaters, but I have since I come to really like it. Do you remember when you first saw it?
I do. I don't remember like the experience of being in the theater. I do remember I went to see it with my dad, and I remember having a conversation with him afterward, like right after he was like, wow, that movie was very silly. And I was like, I guess, but in my head I was like, yeah, but it was good. Like, I don't think the movie was like unaware that it was very silly. I think the movie knew it was silly. Yes. That to me wasn't a criticism of the film. If there are criticisms of the film, but you can't be like, I can't believe the movie with the cat detective, an animated cat detective, was silly.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Do you remember what drew you to go see it? Were you you and your dad?
I was, and I still am, a massive Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. Okay. I love Schwarzenegger. I didn't know at the time that I also am a huge, because I was a kid. So I know at the time I'm a huge fan of John McTiernan and Shane Black.
Yeah.
So like, in hindsight, I'm like, this is like a perfect film for me. It's got three of my favorites.
Yeah. That's kind of been a big sort of recurring theme for me is realizing, as you said, in hindsight, I already liked this. Like, I already liked the people behind it. Discovering that it was like, oh, this is the same director as Die Hard. Oh, this is the same screenwriter as Long Kiss Goodnight. And it's a rewrite, but it was like, oh, and then, yeah, I probably did the same thing you did as I went, because it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And, I would see anything he was in till about maybe End of Days. I think End of Days was like the last one that I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm not going to go out of my way to see The Sixth Man or whatever that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's very fair. That was around the time where it just kind of felt like, I guess he's just making movies to make movies. You know what I mean? Like, some of the earlier stuff felt like so revolutionary, like Predator, and honestly, even for me, even the Running Man, but like Commando, Terminator, Predator, like these were all like different, interesting movies. And then by the time it gets like Sixth Day, it was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, 6 days.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he's okay, so he's a clone. All right, I get
Okay.
it.
Um, this is a little off topic, but his Instagram, I saw his Instagram post and he was like, I've been approached by hundreds of people trying to get me to do a fitness app. Everybody wanting me to partner with them. And I haven't done it until now or whatever. And I was like, oh, that might mean it's a good fitness app. And then I was like, you don't have any like integrity. Like it was
Yeah.
like I've seen some of the movies you've chosen to do. Like you almost had me. You almost had me be like, yeah, he wouldn't put his name on anything that he didn't believe in. And then I was like, wait, you've taken hundreds of my dollars based on things you didn't believe in. I still think
Oh,
he's great, but uh
well, I love him. The thing about Schwarzenegger, I love him because he is very like he's very funny and charismatic, and like that has served him super well. But he is very much a money first guy.
yeah,
Like you can just tell with Arnold, it was like, how much are they paying me to do this? Okay. Like I don't
yeah,
think he read Batman and Robin and was like, this is cinema. I gotta be a
yeah.
part of this thing.
I'm not even sure he read Batman and Robin. I think
If he did, I would be shocked.
yeah, I think they just wrote it up on cue cards and he like
I
uh
I think they handed him a Scrooge McDuck style money bag with a dollar sign on it, and he's like, "Okay, I'll be here for 2 days."
yeah, he's a money first guy. And him being from Austria, uh I guess I'm more for it. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, you weren't born here. Come here to make as much money as you can, knock yourself out. Um, try not to ruin our California, but
Yeah,
he's like since come around and been like very anti gerrymandering, or maybe he was always that way. And it's like, okay, I guess you're a interesting guy that I agree with more than I thought I did. I don't know.
100%. I'm in the same thing where it was like, was governor as a Republican in California, and I was like, I don't love it. But like ever since, the newest administration has taken office, he's been like, oh no, these people are psychopaths. I just think I should pay less taxes.
Yeah,
These people are psychopaths. We should probably keep an eye out on them.
yeah,
I don't, and I'm like, honestly, I think you actually might not be. I think you actually might be a pretty decent dude, all things
yeah.
considered.
Yeah. So you were a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and did you know anything going in? Do you remember seeing the trailers, or they marketed it pretty hard?
I remember this was, I think, also in an era, early 90s, early to mid 90s, is like if studios thought they had something with an action movie, it would be everywhere all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
I remember this was a movie you would see commercials for endlessly. There were like tie-ins at like stores and restaurants and
Yeah.
like like it was on TV. It'd be like, go to Taco Bell, get the last action hero taco. And it's like it's a corn taco with extra lettuce. And you're like, well, I don't think that's related to the film at all. But okay. Like it
Yeah.
was just you would and I feel like as a result of that, because I was very young and marketing was everywhere. There are certain movies that are like Last Action Hero is one of them. Congo is another one
Oh yeah.
where I just have a like encyclopedia level of knowledge about how much marketing happened to that movie. Not even, I mean, maybe not encyclopedia, but like I just remembered it being like inundating us with just constant ads for this thing. It never ended.
No, it was nonstop. I remember. Well, I don't know if this is a false memory because I've since rewatched it on YouTube, but they had like the Last Action Hero toys, and they the commercials for toys in the like when we were growing up were like kids playing with the toys, and they were playing with the animated cat detective, and I was like, I want that toy so bad. During the pandemic, I went on eBay. I don't think they ever made it. They made a bunch of other toys, and I will admit that I bought his car during the pandemic. There was no more clear like I was just reverting to a time where I felt safer by being like, I'm going to buy toys on the internet.
100%. Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to get that detective cat. And it seems like it was in that commercial, and that was it. Um, so I never got it.
I
But
believe that, honestly. You know what the thing about a detective cat is? That's like a new mold they have to create, and the toy company didn't want to do that. Like they were
oh my
like,
god,
"Hey, we have a mold for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Pop that one in there." But
yeah,
like the moment a cat's involved, we have to do a different shape, and it's like,
wow, you're right. You're absolutely right. They were like, this is too. We won't be able to reuse this. There's no. When are we going to see a cat in a trench coat again? You're absolutely right. Wow, I never considered that.
yeah. I'm actually looking at the toys. Like I'm looking at the toy line photos.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer. Like the set, kind of a bummer. They don't look like. I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger had better toys than this in the era. You know what
For
I mean?
sure. And for me, this is maybe a childlike knee jerk response, but I since have read that he was really like sort of anti-gun at this period in his life because the movie was more geared toward kids or whatever. So none of the toys have guns. It's like him throwing bricks or like a weird grappling hook or something like that. And in the movie, he has this giant gun, but you can't get a toy with him having this giant gun. I'm not pro gun, but as a kid, and like some residual leftover, it's like I like my action figures to be able to have a gun.
A hundred
Um,
percent.
I
Uh,
don't a brick. What are we doing?
he literally, one of his toy sets has like a thing of bricks, two dumbbells,
Oh yeah,
which
dumbbells.
which also really breaks the fourth wall of like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies exist in a world where a man can look like that and never work out.
Yes.
And like real life Arnold Schwarzenegger worked out 2-3 hours a day to look like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And every movie, he's a guy from Connecticut who never hits the gym
Yes.
and just is naturally jacked.
That's you bring up a good point, and that's kind of the fun of this movie is it exists in movie land essentially. So there's almost the assumption that like there isn't the need for gyms or weights in that world because nobody would need them.
Yeah,
Uh
100%.
uh I guess unless you're doing like a Rocky movie, but there's nobody like getting in shape. They're just in shape if that's the rules of that world, sort of.
I think that's true of like a lot, like most TV and movies. We don't want to know that like a person would have to work that hard to look like that.
Yeah.
We're only accepting of athletic people working out if it is related to sports.
Right.
And then also like any other workout. The only time it's ever done, I remember there was one on the Good Place that was actually a really funny bit where the main nerdy guy, took off his shirt and he was
Oh
jacked. He
yeah.
was like bodybuilder jacked, and he was like, "I do push-ups when I'm anxious,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's actually a very funny line." But like in every
Yeah.
other world, you're like, that person can't look like that. People
Right.
don't look like that.
Did you have you watched Reacher at all on Amazon Prime?
I watched part of season one and I was watching it with my roommates, then moved out of that and moved in with my now wife. And I just was like, I guess I'm never going back. Like,
Yeah. I suppose being able to watch Reacher depends on who you're cohabitating with.
yeah, she doesn't want to see that.
But in the first season, he's like only shown eating like pie, a grilled cheese sandwich, like a candy bar, and it's like yeah. This is like breaking my ability to engage with this content. Like
yeah.
I can buy him picking a person up and throwing them through a window, but I can't buy that this guy is getting by on like 600 calories of sugar a day.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I think it's what the problem is that they don't state explicitly, but every episode of Preacher takes place on his off day from
yeah,
his like very strict regimen. Every other day, it's like I eat 3,000 calories and 250 grams of protein, but like this day I eat only candy.
I like that. I like that to be like, oh yeah, where the story is only taking place on his off days.
Yeah. I remember I had a very similar feeling when I used to watch Supernatural because, like, Supernatural, I loved that show for like 7 seasons. But like, the main dude is another like extremely handsome and very good shape man, and he's constantly drinking and eating out and like partying and like whatever. He
Yeah.
never eats anything good for you, and it's like, no, you don't look like that. You also don't run around as much. If you had this diet, you'd be hobbling to these sequences.
Yeah, it's nice to be an adult and recognize that. But it certainly brainwashed me, I think, as a child.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of plays with that a little bit of like, do you did you when you saw it, did you have a sense of like kind of the the parody? It's sort of in between an homage and a parody. It's like this weird uncanny valley of that. But did you as a kid like yeah, how did it land? Yes, it was silly, but how did the like commentary of like this is happening in the movies, do you remember having any feeling about it?
I remember being like, okay, I know what this is doing. I know this is a parody of stuff. I know I'm familiar with a lot of this stuff. Like I was understanding the parody side of it, but I also saw it when I just wanted to look up the date. It came out when I was like 6.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of stuff where I was like, oh, I understand this is a joke about the thing, but I'm not really as, and I will say it is weird now as an adult thinking like, oh, I saw enough Arnold Schwarzenegger movies at 6 years old that I was like, I'm a fan of this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's good. I'm like, surely I couldn't have watched Commando when I was 5 or 6. Maybe I did. My mom worked for the cable company. We had endless cable.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and he did like Twins too, right? So it was
yeah.
like there was enough of a little bit of a crossover that you were kind of like, oh, okay. And if you went to like Universal Studios, you knew about the Terminator ride. Like there was enough of him dipping into the children's landscape a little bit that it was, and it's like, yeah, he played a commando, a robot.
Mhm.
Like he was playing things that you were like, yeah, this, how is this not geared towards me?
A
Like,
hundred percent. As a young kid, as a young boy, like that's the stuff you want to see. That's the coolest stuff in the world. He was doing all of that, and I think like contextually wise, and because I don't think it is the same these days, but like movie stars were different in those days.
yeah,
Like a movie star was everywhere. You didn't have to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan to see him 3 times a week on something, to
yeah,
hear about him on something. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the biggest movie star in the world for a period of time, and it was like, and you like you don't have to like action movies to be like, yeah, he's on TV right now for everything. Like,
yeah, that's true. And he is kind of a cartoon. Like, I bet a big portion of my exposure to him was like watching Saturday morning cartoons and them doing an Arnold, because it's like he's got this thick accent. He's built different than everybody. So it's like he's like fun to like set your eyes on. It's like he sounds different. He's got these big bulging muscles. It's like Animaniacs probably did one. Like whatever I was watching, probably at some point, Saturday Night Live, like uh although I probably wasn't watching a ton of Saturday Night Live, but it's like, oh, Hans and Franz like make their way into your life because it's goofy.
mhm.
Um, Even though he's playing like a badass, it's like one step away from just being very goofy.
Yeah. And I will say, I think that's actually like the reason he succeeded where other people don't. And I think
Yeah.
this is true of a lot. Like he leaned into like, this is goofy or silly. You can joke about me. I'm unique in that sense. Like I think people's ability to do impressions of you actually probably does boost your career.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like there is something to be said about everyone had an Arnold impersonation that probably helped his career because you're just hearing about him more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're connecting with him more.
A
Uh,
1000%. Yeah. Um, do you remember when you sort of connected this to Shane Black, or when Shane Black was sort of entered your sphere?
it was like teenage years when I
Okay.
started understanding like, oh, it was very similar with Shane Black and like John McTiernan, the director, and stuff like that. When I started going like, I love movies. Who is making these things?
Yeah.
Like, who are the people making these things I like so much? And Shane Black, I think it was honestly the first time I really started being like, oh, wait, I'm a Shane Black fan was The Long Kiss Goodnight,
Yeah.
and I started going like, oh, what else did this guy do? And then I'm like, oh, he rewrote Predator, and he did Lethal Weapon, and like I started like going through The Last Boy Scout, and I was like, oh, I like this guy. Like he
Yeah.
makes interesting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I immediately started like glomming onto like like at that point I was like, oh, I'm a Shane Black fan. I like this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
So, um, then this is very specific, but do you remember like going back to Last Action Hero after that knowledge? Because that's been a big part of my experience is like visiting them and then revisiting them for the book or whatever, and going like, okay, now I'm watching this movie through the lens of like I'm familiar with the way that this guy writes. Um, again, he rewrote this. So you're like looking at essentially people who wrote a Shane Black movie, then had it rewritten by Shane Black, uh, which I think is like such a fascinating thing. But it's like you can see some of the stuff that feels like very much in his wheelhouse, and then the stuff that feels like, well, this got passed through a lot of different writers. Did you have any experience with that or observations of like, oh yeah, this part feels like a Shane Black movie, or this is something that I recognize?
I think there is something about the style in which the movie like parodies action films
Yeah.
that feels very much like Shane Black being like, I get it. I know how this structure works. I just want to let you know I do know how this works. I know I've been participant in this
Yeah.
before, and this is like uh I don't know specifically. I could be wrong about this, but I also think the Hamlet part
Oh yeah.
felt very Shane Black. Like I'm going to take this serious thing and just make fun of like and
Yeah.
just filter it through this idea of like action movies are dumb, which I don't even think he thinks, but like filter it through like, what if I made Hamlet a dumb action movie?
Yeah. I don't think about that scene as much, and that's very true. Because that scene almost like that does feel like a statement, as goofy as it is, of sort of being like, this is what an action movie does to a movie. Like, you have your story, and then you make it an action movie, and it feels this way. Like, everybody is, yeah, their shirts are ripped, and their muscles are bulging, and they're saying cool stuff, and things are done in slow motion. Like, yeah, that
And
scene in particular, that's a good one.
And I think also with the Hamlet thing specifically, also, it's like, yeah, if you made an action star Hamlet, he'd just kill everybody real quick. And
Yeah.
that would be in, like, if you look at like the structure of, because it's like a parody trailer, but the structure of that movie would have been 11 minutes long
Right.
because he his finds out his dad's dead and then he just starts mowing people down with machine guns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, that problem got solved then.
That's true. Yeah, I think the it's like in terms of like the plot of Jack Slater 4, which is like kind of exactly what you're saying. It's like they killed his favorite second cousin or whatever the line is or whatever. And it's like, yeah, this feels like a version of this type of movie. And then you interject this idea of like, what if you had somebody tagging along who knew about it, who was like, this is how this works. This is supposed, and it's like, it doesn't, when I was like looking at it and writing about it, it's like the plot of this movie is so odd because it's like, it's not even about the kid trying to get back to reality necessarily. It's about him trying to convince Arnold Schwarzenegger that he's in an action movie. And then it's about the plot of Jack Slater 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's not like we got to get you back. It's like, I got to convince you that this is a movie. And that's
Yeah.
the plot.
I will say that is the thing going back and rewatching that I kind of butted heads up against a little too much, like a little more than I ever had before, which was like, I kind of wanted that kid to spend more time just liking being in an action movie. And
Yeah.
like, because a lot of the times he is just saying, no, we're in a movie. I'm just trying to convince you we're in a movie. But like, that kid, I think also would just be like, this is awesome. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to die. We're fine. And there are moments of that that are really good. Like the part where he decides to play chicken on the bike. And then he's like, wait a minute. I'm the comedic sidekick. I could die in this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to die if I keep doing this thing. And so, like, that is, I thought, structurally what I wanted him to do more of was being like, I'm going to get into the action movie. Oh, I can't get into the action movie. And like, I
Yeah.
think sometimes the script commentates on being like, no, no, this is a movie. And it's like, I don't care. You wouldn't care it was in a movie. You'd just be so psyched to be here.
Yeah. I listened to a few Shane Black interviews, and he was talking about this movie, and he was like, my issue with it is it doesn't follow its own rules. He's like, I get being inside a movie. He's like, but why is the T-1000 walking out of the Hollywood police station? Why is Sharon Stone's character from Basic Instinct there? He's like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, it's one thing if you're in an action movie, but that doesn't mean that all action movies are like working at the same time in this sort of ecosystem. And it's like, yeah, that feels like a separate idea of like, it feels a lot like going to a Planet Hollywood or whatever, where it's like, yeah, none of this stuff would be in the same space except we're in a restaurant where they bring all this stuff
Mm-hmm.
together.
100%. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I did think about that as as I was watching it, being like, the when they're doing the roll call for different cops, and it's like this is a big fat cop, and this is like a really in shape cop, and they're working together, and I'm like, okay, so what is the universe of this world where like you're just first of all they're seeming like every day randomly assigning cops together. It's like this is the attractive lady cop and the animated cat cop,
Yeah.
and they're working together, and he's gonna touch her butt, and it's gonna be he's a little saucy, this cat, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's more of a commentary on film in general. But like, if you were watching an action movie and there was an animated cat, like a really straightforward action movie, and there was an animated cop, and all of the characters, all of like the women dressed the way the women dress in this movie and stuff like that, you'd be like, this movie's out of its mind. It doesn't know
Yeah.
what it wants to be.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of it is like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they're all like, there's Toontown and then there's the real world. And that's sort of like, and everybody is like, toons operate this way, humans operate this way. And this movie has a little bit of like, this is just a badass cop that everybody knows. And similar to your Reacher's off days, it's like, oh, so when we're not following along with the story, he's in a police precinct with cartoon cats and nobody brings it up. Nobody like you're seeing all this extra world that's like Humphrey Bogart is in it as a black and white. It's like, well, that's never come up in any of the movies before. Like, and then it's back to your point a little bit of like, yeah, it's silly. Like, if you think it, like Last Action Hero is like Tenet for dummies, kind of. It's like if you think about it too much, you're not going to have a good time. But if you don't think about it, it's perfect.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there is something to be said of like this movie is, I will say to its credit, having fun. For good portions of the movie, it's just like, let's just have some fun. Would be silly if whatever, like if we threw this character in from this. All right, let's do it. Well, who cares?
Yeah.
From a writing standpoint, and I think this is true for every movie and every improv scene I've ever seen, which is if you tell me the rules, I will believe you. If you
Yeah.
tell me the structure of the world, I will believe you 100%. Whatever information, though, you don't fill in is information I have to take from the real world, like what I understand about how the real world operates or how like these films operate. So if you say this is a world with cats, animated cats, I believe you. But if you don't say it and then an animated cat shows up and then I'm going to be like, well, I know action movies and that shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So like there are moments where it's like you do kind of buck up against this idea of like there and I actually kind of at times don't even totally feel like the movie needs it. I would actually argue like generally speaking because like I think the funeral scene is one of the better scenes in the movie,
Yeah.
one of my favorite scenes in the movie because it is very silly the whole way through, but it works really well.
Yeah.
It fits what this action movie, as far as I can tell, what it would be, and it fits what the last action hero movie is supposed to be. And I think
Yeah.
it's good.
It's a great scene. He Black mentioned that in an interview where he was like, he's like, I sort of wrote the scene to be more of a setup and a payoff of like, he's like, and I borrowed it from a detective novel where they're like, the plot is we're going to make it seem like we accidentally killed the driver, but we intended to kill the driver because the driver was friends with everybody. So everyone would come to his funeral and then we could blow up the funeral. He's like, so I wrote that and Arnold Schwarzenegger's character says it, but he only says it in passing. And then you have a guy called Leo the Fart filled with gas. So
Yeah.
nobody clocks any of the sort of like setup and payoff. It's just a giant, giant dead fat guy filled with gas.
Yep. 100%.
But then it's like it's a great set piece. Like they've got the crane and they swing him on the crane and he falls into the tar pit and it's like yeah, I saw it with my mom and she must have been like, "Oh my god." Because it's like the fart goes off and then there's a big bubble in the tar pit. And it's like, yeah, this is like pitched perfect for however old I was, 11-year-old me or whatever.
Yep.
Um, but if I can't imagine my parents, it's like, did my mom go like, this is just another dumb action movie? Or was she like, this one is particularly goofy throughout? Like, I'll have to ask her. I can't really remember.
Yeah. I'm curious, as you were saying that, I'm curious, like, who do you think, if you were going to sell this movie as it exists now, who do you think this movie is for?
Well, I think I love that question, and I think that's why it kind of fell flat. Is like it's for action movie people, I think, but action movie people already sort of accept that their movies are kind of dumb. They don't like the idea of somebody being like, "Look how silly this is." It's like I know it's silly. I know the idea that Steven Seagal as a chef defeating an entire band of terrorists on a submarine is a dumb idea. Please let me have my dumb idea. So
Yeah.
it's like I think the movie was a little ahead of its time because it was like sort of poking fun at something that people weren't really ready to have poked fun at. And if you didn't like action movies, you were like, I don't care about any of this. But if you liked them, you were like, I know, like I've seen The Running Man, I've seen Terminator 2. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger walks into a bar naked and then takes a biker's outfit and then comes out and Bad to the Bone starts playing. Like
Mhm.
it's super corny, but I also think it's cool as hell. Please, I don't need you to be like, look how silly these are. It's like I know how silly they are. So I think it's a little like it was a little ahead of its time, which is so stupid to say, but it's like the culture it was like poking fun at something that hadn't been around long enough to poke fun at. Like, I think if you know, 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, I think are like modern day examples of doing it a little better and a little bit where audiences are like, oh, whether or not I like these kind of movies, I've seen enough of them. I can enjoy this. But Last Action Hero felt a little like I haven't seen enough of these for it to feel like it's time to go. Like, we're gonna throw this guy, we're gonna blow this guy up, and an ice cream cone's gonna stick into his eyeball or
Mhm.
whatever. It's like
Yeah.
it
Which
feels like it should be for 10-year-olds, I guess, to answer your question.
I agree. There's like a tone of the joke. And I think with like a when you like an example of 21 Jump Street, I think like 21 Jump Street, if you ask somebody what it was, you'd just be like, "Hey, it's a comedy."
Yeah,
Like there's action in it, but you'd never think this is an action movie with comedy. It's like this is a comedy movie. That's what how people would describe that. But like with Last Action Hero, it is in many ways an action film that has comedy as much
yeah.
as it is a comedy film with, you know what I mean? Like it really is in like the dead center of those two things, I think, in a lot of ways. Um, which I still enjoy the movie. I can't complain about it. I'm still happy they made it.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Like
I think one thing it did do for me is like it scratched sort of like again, I think you talking about Reacher's Off Days, like it scratched universes, and you were talking about like the world, like world building for me in a way. Like the blockbuster scene is like an all-time favorite scene of mine, and a scene that has sort of like shaped the way I take in entertainment, because it's like when he goes in and Sylvester Stallone is on the cardboard cutout for Terminator 2, it like it changed the way I thought about movies, where I was like, wait, so in this universe, he's Jack Slater is not Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like
mhm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't exist, so Sylvester Stallone does exist, and that kind of stuff I think about all the time. Like, and there's no thought behind it other than like, but in The Sopranos, one episode, Uncle Junior is watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. They come over and he's got Curb Your
Mhm.
Enthusiasm on. But there's an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David can't find the Sopranos DVD. So it's like, well, when Junior watches that episode, what DVD is missing? And
Yeah.
when Larry David watches that episode of The Sopranos, what is Uncle Junior watching? And that you come to learn that it's just like licensing rights. It's like we need something on the TV, we own Curb Your Enthusiasm. But I think Last Action Hero made me think a little bit more of like, oh, I like how fun that is to sort of imagine what the entertainment is inside of a movie. Because and Scream does it, right? Like Scream is
Mhm.
sort of like, oh, we've seen these movies. And I think that's what Shane Black does so well is his characters are always aware of action movies in a way that other action movies don't do. Like it's not necessarily self-awareness, but like in The Long Kiss Goodnight, Samantha Kane goes like, "What is this? A torture thing?" And then later the bad guy goes, "Now we're going to do the torture thing." And it's like that is being said by a woman who's a character who's seen action movies, and
Mhm.
then it's you get a response from a villain who tortures people to get information out of them, and it's like that character depth I think is really cool. The Sylvester Stallone thing is a little dumb, but it's that same idea of like, and that's what Danny's trying to do in the whole movie is to say like, hey, you should know about movies. Like
Mhm.
even if this is your real world, you should have the knowledge about movies. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what Shane Black does so well in his movies is he's like they have the knowledge about which I think is I don't know, I think that's cool.
Yeah. I think I like that. I think that's why his characters I think that's one of the things, like in general speaking, that I like about Shane Black is that his characters are a little smarter or a little more tuned in than a lot of movie characters are. There's like, I mean, there's more character than most movie characters are. Like they have reasons and wants and desires and stuff, which I think is weirdly a low bar to set, but like it's like kind of the bar for a lot of movies. But I think there's also a sense of like with his trying to think how I'm trying to phrase this, but like with Shane Black as a writer, there is like there's a real hard line, and I feel like sometimes you hit it, sometimes you go over it. Of like, I want to talk about this thing that I like, and sometimes like I know a lot about a thing, and I want to talk about a thing that I like. And I've noticed this weirdly with improv as well, which is if somebody does improv too long, sometimes they will get to the point where they're like, well, I've done all the normal improv. I'm going to do improv that is essentially talking about improv or deconstructing improv. And I'm really going to lean into this. And it's like, that improv is for you now. It is no longer for the audience. You will go too far into that. And I have watched improvisers who've done improv for a really long time who comment on it too much. And then I will talk to people who do not go to improv shows or do not watch improv. And they will be like, I hated that
Yeah,
because like, I just wanted you watch you do the thing.
right.
Like, and I think generally speaking, and there are moments in this movie where I think it goes a little too far into the commentary of what an action movie is instead of just like doing the movie that you set out to do.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if you get too knowledgeable about a thing, I think this is true for a lot of art. Sometimes you will just be like, and this is what we'd normally do here.
Yeah.
And you're like, people want to watch you do it. Just do it.
Man, I love that phrase of like, I just want to watch you do it. I think, yeah, my girlfriend was friend was in town, or maybe it was her sister, and I was doing an improv show. I was doing play by play, and it was they had invited teachers and coaches to do a herald. So it was teachers and coaches doing a herald being commented on. And I was
Mhm.
like, I I was like, maybe she shouldn't come. I was like, I can't imagine a more alienating version of what I do than teachers and coaches doing a form that is already alienating while having people comment on their approach to doing it, which then they are sort of commenting on. I was like, and you're exactly right. I had a blast, but that
Mhm.
was for me.
Yeah.
That would not have been for my girlfriend's sister. She would have been like, your boyfriend needs to pull his head out of his ass. Like,
Yeah.
um,
There. A quick aside. I don't want to like totally derail, but my wife is very nuts. She does not like to be called on during shows. She doesn't want to participate. She will watch it, leave her alone. She's like very like I don't want to be part of it. And I took her to this one show I was doing, and it's a team who are lovely, but they are very like they will have like arguments and in scenes they'll stop the scene to be like what did you mean when you said this, did you mean this or this, and they're doing that, and then they turn to my wife and they point at her and she goes and they go what do you think we should do next, and she just like looks over at me like get me the fuck out of here. And I turn to her and I go say this, and then she says it, and then they keep going back to her, and then we're leaving, we're driving home, and she's like don't ever take me to that show again. I was like,
yeah,
fair enough.
she wants to watch you do the thing. Like,
Yeah.
there, I think that's partly, the Black Mirror and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, like some of those shows played around with like choose your own adventure. Like you can, and it's like, it's an interesting idea, but I think you touched on why it doesn't necessarily succeed, which is like, no, I just want to watch you do the thing. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that might be part of why this movie gets a bad rap a little bit is like, uh, it, it has such talent behind it, and that talent is not always doing their thing. Like John McTiernan is, he's doing his thing, but he also has to comment on his thing. And Shane Black has to do his thing within the script that somebody else wrote about commenting on his thing. Like, um, and so all those pieces are like, yeah, that makes it like it's neither fish nor fowl. Like, I don't know who it's for, because the people, you said what I was trying to say, I guess, which is like the people who like action movies just want to see them do their thing. And the people who don't like action movies are like, well, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's fascinating. Um, uh, like, so you rewatched it. Any new takeaways? Anything that stood out to you? Um,
Th-
anything that like jogged a memory?
there were like little bits here and there where I was like, I didn't even remember this happened. I didn't remember when the kid opened the door to go see the movie. First of all, the relationship with the kid and the projectionist is so scary outside of a movie. If that wasn't in a movie, you'd be like, how do you know this man? And his mom is like, no, stay away from that guy. He's
Yeah,
weird. And the mom is 100% correct. Like, the guy's not a creep in the movie, but in real life, you'd be like, that man's sad. At very least, he's very sad.
it's very Marty McFly and Doc Brown, but the Danny is like 8 years younger or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, you don't really even have any agency. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, how'd you meet this guy? Why is he why is he so like, Danny, this you or me, and I'm gonna help raise you right, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I will say, like, going back. Okay, wait, what was the question again? Now my brain
just
just
stuff that you
escaped me.
observed, and you were saying when he was going out to go to the movies.
Oh yeah, when he was going out and going to the movies and he gets robbed. And
Yeah,
like, I forgot about that. And I was like, "Oh, that's like a real scary moment." And it does not deter this kid at all. And I think there's like a very interesting character development thing that I wish we kind of stuck for more. I think that's actually a thing I kind of wanted more from this movie is like Danny's growth over the course of it.
yeah,
Because like they tell you the growth at the end of it, but I kind of wanted to see how this kid is sort of because he is sort of ruining his own life going to this movies over and over again. Like, he's skipping school, he literally almost got killed and
yeah,
still went back to the movies.
yeah.
Like, sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
But like, he still goes back and then he gets into the movie and he's not like, oh my God, I'm in heaven, which he is at times. At times he's like, I'm in heaven, but he's also like, I'm in heaven and I need you to know this doesn't exist and this isn't real. And I think what a fun, like, to me in hindsight, and it's easy to rewrite a movie after it came out 30 years ago, but like, I think what would be more fun is he gets into the movie, he's all about it until he realizes that being all about it is actually really bad for him. And
Yeah,
he needs to like, oh, this movie is actually kind of ruining. This could ruin my life. Like I can't be here. I need to be in the real world. I can't live in this fake reality. But he never really goes to, I can't live in this fake reality. He just has to leave because a bad guy left. He never
yeah,
goes like, I'm actually trapped in this imaginary world. I need to get myself out of this. He's just like, oh, we got to fight the bad guy over there now.
yeah. Yeah. The him getting robbed and then going to the movies sort of sets up this, which I didn't realize till you brought it up, this expectation that like the movies have desensitized him. So you would think putting him in a movie, he would be very gung ho because he knows that it's not real and he just went through something very traumatic and brushed it off. Right. So it's like
Yeah.
you would think he would be a little bit more like, we got to do this. And you could see a version where it's like he goes into Hamlet and is like, you should just kill all these guys. Like, this is the
Yeah.
movie. Or you kind of feel that it would almost flip of like he's spending time in the movie. Like, there's a version where he's coming in and out of the movie and the movie is slowly rotting his brain, and then he gets robbed and he doesn't take it seriously because he's been living in a movie. Like, there's that version of it. But yeah, the version of it is basically like, how do we prop up this idea of living in a movie and making it fun, and then they go like, okay, that'll do.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess so. Like, and all the individual set pieces are great. Like, I think when they're at Arnold's daughter's house and or his house, but his daughter's there or whatever.
Mhm.
And then the bad guys come and she's like screaming and then she's like kicking their ass.
Mhm.
And the way that like whole fight scene breaks down and stuff, and then they leave and then they find the eyeball and they turn it and it blows up and they zoom out and then they're sitting in the office and they're all like smoky. It's like that shit rules. It's like such a fun set piece, but it's not really doing anything. Like
Yeah.
it's really not a once they go it doesn't matter, we're in a movie, it's hard to make anything matter, which is another, we're actually talking about improv more than I have on any of the other ones, and everybody I've had has been an improviser. But it's like, yeah, if somebody dies in an improv scene and then comes back to life, or they get shot and they don't die, you've now taken all the stakes out of your scene because death is the ultimate stake and improv doesn't matter. So if you don't pretend that the stakes matter, then the audience is aware that none of this matters. And you sort of get that immediately in this movie of like, none of this matters.
Yeah.
Uh, which in an action movie, you want it to matter. Even if you know the good guy's going to win, you're sort of like, yeah, maybe the plucky sidekick gets killed or some version of that.
That it's so funny you said that because I remember having that feeling while I was watching it, which was like this movie does remove the stakes of like everything, especially with the bomb specifically, where it's like you guys were inches from a bomb. Very funny moment, like a very good explosion, like good comedic. You cut to like half the city block is exploded
Yeah.
because of this bomb, but like you guys are fine. This isn't going to harm you. And so this when you remove the stakes, I can't emotionally commit to it the same way I would. And I think maybe this movie, the reason it didn't work as well as it could have is that if you can remove all of the physical stakes because this is like a dumb action movie, and that's the joke of the thing. It's a dumb action movie, you can't get hurt, but you can't remove all the physical stakes and then have no emotional stakes that are carrying the movie through. Like some stakes have to carry us through this thing. And like if Danny doesn't convince him that he's in a movie, nothing really matters. That doesn't actually affect anything.
Yeah.
So like I need to know what Danny wants because that's the main star of the movie is this kid. I need to go on the emotional journey with this kid. And I think they kind of try to do it a bit more when they get to the real world, but even that is still just kind of an action movie,
Mhm.
which like when they get to the real world and he does chicken and he crashes headfirst in the guy and he's like, I had an airbag, he didn't. And I'm like, you'd be hurt. Like you have to show him hurt now. You kind of screwed yourself up on this. You said this is the real world and you could be hurt. And
Yeah.
like he punches the window. He's like, that kind of hurt my hand. And then he gets into a full on car accident, not bruised, not bloody, not
Yeah.
like, oh my God. And I think you needed those moments to be like, for his character's development to be like, oh no, I was living in an imaginary world and now I'm in the real one.
Yeah. And there's there's really not a happy ending for his character. They write one. It's like he goes back to the movies and he's fine, and now he's got a little bit more agency. But it's like you, it would be like if I learned definitively that I was living in a simulation for someone else's entertainment. It would like it would fill me with an existential dread that would be tough to have like a like it's that moment in the Matrix when Cypher or whatever the guy's name is like, I want to go back into the Matrix, and I want to have no knowledge that I'm in the fucking Matrix. I want to eat a steak and it tastes like a steak. Like that guy is so distraught with what reality is, and it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger his Jack Slater learns that he's not real. They
Yeah.
killed his kid for a plot line. Like everything he does is for somebody else, and I guess that gives him a different kind of purpose. But it's like that is one of the saddest sort of conclusions to a movie of like your life isn't real and it doesn't matter. And that
Yes,
little kid was right.
100%. And they gloss over it so hard. And it's interesting too, because they kind of set up possible things that character could grow into. At one point, he goes back to his apartment and you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, he's living in a sad apartment. And he like openly mentions like, I'm lonely. My life is sad. I don't have fulfilling relationships and I wish I did. And then they just never address that. And it's like, well, no, you could give him that. He could be like, I'm going back to this world and beyond. I don't want to just do action. I want to like, I don't care. My world is fake. I need to find love or whatever in it. I need to find humanity
Yeah.
in it. But they just don't. It's like, well, he's not dead, but he does have to live the rest of his life knowing that like if you knew, like you were saying, if you lived in a fake world, and you knew at some point someone is going to turn that world off, you know for a fact your existence gets crazy. You are
Yeah.
going to lose your mind because you're like, I have no control. I have no power. I guess I could keep going to work, but like, who cares? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, what is my life? And I'm okay. I'm okay not super addressing that in the context of Last Action Hero, but I will say, like, you got to give me something. You got to give me some reason because he gets to the end of the movie and he goes to confront his boss and he's like, "Stop yelling at me! I'm the star of the movie, and I don't want to do action anymore." And it's like, that's not like a resolution to his story.
No.
We already established those two characters were friends, so it's not like you're getting back at your bad boss or anything. It was just like I want to. It wasn't even clear what he wanted at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
He just
he was basically like, you have no agency, I have no agency. Like he's like a nihilist at the end. And it is that's like ultimately why I've like I thought it was fun when I was a kid, but it didn't become one of my favorites. Then I came back to it and I was like, there's something here. And then I spent a long time with it and I was like, this is one of my like I don't know if it's one of my favorite, but it holds such a like it's a one of one because it is introducing the most interesting ideas in like a package that is very stupid. Like
yeah.
no other action movie, no other Shane Black movie is like dealing with like nihilism and existential dread and like reality versus fiction and all this stuff. This one is, but it's also like this guy farted. Like
Yeah,
this
100%.
this is a horny cat. Like it's like oh what an like and I almost think if there was an action movie that was like taking itself so seriously and being like what is the point of all this, I would be like I don't really like that, like it stinks a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like that this is kind of like hey, this is a mess, we have some really interesting ideas but we can't get ourselves out of this thing that we built for ourselves, that like the rules of the ticket make no sense. Like the bad guy is just bad and is like I can be bad in the real world. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like yeah, but you just learned your whole life is a lie.
Yeah. That was the thing, is like he was like a villain. He was like, I'm going to bring all the great villains out of films. And it's like, to what end?
Yeah.
Like, to what end? What do you actually like? Do you really want to do that? Or would you just like, I think it would be more fun if, yeah, the villain goes out and was like, oh, my life is meaningless. All of this is meaningless. I guess I'll kill people. How do I know this reality isn't fake? What do I care anymore? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that would be, I think, more fun. As you were describing, as you were talking, I was like, you know who I bet could do this well is James Gunn. Because that feels
Yeah.
very up James Gunn's alley, where it's
Yeah.
like, here's a real heavy topic, and I'm going to make it silly. Goodbye. Like, I'm going to do silly stuff while people are like, everyone I've ever known and loved was fake and my life doesn't matter. Anyways, here's a silly little contemporary song.
Yeah, it, you know, it has. Peacemaker season 2 has shades of that a little bit. I think we should get that. We should get that going on social media. Get James Gunn to reboot Last Action Hero. I'm sure. I'm sure he's got plenty of time and
Yeah, he's
no
getting
no more interesting projects. Hey, I know
True.
you can do any DC comic book you want, but what about Last Action Hero again?
We had a really good idea. We don't have a structure. We just have a feeling of what would be a good idea. Can you make this for me, please?
I think that qualifies us as producers.
Honestly.
Any as we wrap it up, anything that about Last Action Hero that you didn't get to say, or Shane Black?
Well,
Yeah,
I'll say this because I'll never have a good opportunity to tell this again
yeah.
since I already told my brother, who's also a big Shane Black fan. But I was in a short film with Shane Black.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine from improv hit me up and was like, "Hey, do you have any police uniform stuff?" And I was like, weirdly, yes, I do. Like, I got it for a sketch years ago and I just have it. And he was like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing my friend's short film? They're looking for two people to play cops." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I walk on like the set, which is the dude's apartment, and I look over and I was like, "That's Shane Black." I was like, "Oh my God, that's Shane Black." And they were like, "Okay, we're setting up the shot. You guys just wait outside in the hallway." So me and my friend are talking. And he was like, "Yeah, I guess he's friends with Shane Black." And, I guess we can meet him afterward. I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I want to meet Shane Black." And then they're just moving through the shots so fast that it's our turn to go in. And all we do is walk in with our guns, look around. There's a bunch of dead bodies on the floor. I physically step over Shane Black's dead body. And then I look at my friend and we both get a, "What the hell just happened?" look. And then that's the end of the short. And I do that scene, and they're like, "Okay, great. Do us a favor, wait in the room while we're doing this other shot." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So me and the other guy were sitting in a room, we're just kind of chatting, and then that ends, and we walk out, and Shane Black is gone. And I was like, so my only experience of Shane Black is stepping over his dead body, and I never got to speak to him or even look at the man in the eyes.
That is crazy because I feel like, and I've talked about this sort of continuously, of like, he is somebody that is not Aaron Sorkin level recognizable, even the name. Like, if you know action movies, maybe you know who he is. But even if you know who he is, knowing what he looks like means you had to have watched interview, like you had to have done another level of a deep dive. So you are like in a very rarefied air of people in a community who would have police uniforms. So you recognize this guy, you know who he is, you walk over him, and then he disappears. Like,
Yeah.
that's like perfect.
Yeah, it was really good. It was like there are very few moments. You know this. We're both from Colorado originally, and like sometimes you'll talk to people who don't live in LA, and they're like, "How many celebrities you see?" And you're like, not a ton. You'll see a celebrity every now and then, like walking around or something, and it's like kind of a, "Oh, that's crazy. I didn't expect to see
Yeah.
that person," sort of thing. Like that is one of the most surreal Hollywood moments of my life, which is there was a writer director I'm a fan of. I stepped over him while he was laying on the ground for a short film that nobody saw, and then I never met him. And it was like, okay, I guess that was just a thing that happened in my life, you know?
I love that, Zach. That is a great story. How fun. I mean, yeah, part of it is probably like he was probably like, I don't think anybody, like, they had him play a dead body because it's like, this is the Easter egg of all Easter eggs. Like, and so it's like he shows up and it's like, yeah, this will be funny for the 5 people who recognize me watching this short or whatever. And it's like a fan of his is in the room, and then they're like, wait over here, and then he's like, well, I'm just gonna leave now. Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible. What a story. You got anything you want to plug, Zach?
I don't know. You know what? For if you're listening to this at the beginning of 2026, Jake and I are both doing a, show called the Fortune Teller Show at
Yeah.
UCB, which hopefully we get more of, but we're excited to do that.
Yeah.
And then I guess follow me on social media at Zach Jobe, Jobe. And
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, come check out the Fortune Teller Show at UCB. Maybe get a little insight into your future. Zach, thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, thank you for having me.
This was a blast. I could not tell you how excited I was this morning to be like, I get to talk to Zach for an hour about Last Action Hero. So, thanks, my dude.
Thanks, dude. Honestly, I could have talked for like 5. I had,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I have to keep reminding myself that like, if I go over an hour, this ends up becoming for me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep that balance of like, do my thing. And we'll save the rest for off mic. We'll go, we'll talk about it at a bar or something.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, dude.
All right, later, buddy.
See ya. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. That was another episode of Setups, Payoffs, and Reversals, the podcast companion to the book that I am promoting by doing this podcast. But really, this podcast is just about talking with my friends. So I hope you enjoyed listening. If you like action movies, if you like Shane Black, if you like this podcast, if you like me as a writer, please consider pre-ordering the book at weimprov.org. Just click on the merch page, and you can find it there. I also listed the URL, and hopefully the book will be in the description wherever this is posted. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.